Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Public Health's virtual education series, Wazooki Wuehi, Family Conversations. I'm Rachael, public health nurse, joined by Jamie Decora, public health worker supervisor, who's going to help me moderate today's session. The goal of this series is to gather, learn, and share about Ho-Chunk culture, resources, services, and the connection to health. In public health, we focus on prevention, promotion, and protection of the health and well-being of our communities. Health and well-being are rooted in many aspects of our lives, from our physical body, our mental health, our spirit, the environment we live in, and much more. During these sessions, we will explore topics that can impact our health and well-being. Together, we will learn about tools and resources to improve our health and the health of our communities. Today, we're joined by Rachael Dozer, behavioral health clinician, and she's going to be talking to us about reclaiming the meaning of the holidays and how we can reduce holiday stress. We'll have about 45 minutes for Rachael's presentation, followed by Q&A. You can use the chat function to enter any comments or questions, or feel free to come off mute. Jamie and I will monitor the chat throughout the presentation, and we can read questions out loud. You can also raise your hand to come off mute to ask any questions. Anything that we don't have time for, we'll email to Rachael and have her respond back to the group. Everyone, please welcome Rachael Dozer.
Hey guys. So that this was a hard presentation to put together because I think this time of year is so personal for everybody. So I'm really going to encourage maybe a little bit more than normal, like dialogue, questions, thoughts. There's a lot of wisdom in the room. And yeah, thank you for coming. I'm excited. So for our presentation today, just kind of introducing the idea of, I guess, what it even means to reclaim the holidays and reducing holiday stress. My main goal is hopefully helping everyone here take something away that they would find helpful and applicable for their lives. Talking point is looking at revisiting some old stories, and I'll explain that in a minute. Of course, tools and resources, and then kind of our wrap up. Sorry, I muted myself, but I didn't know how I did it. So Rachael knows I'm not, technology is not my friend. So I panicked for a little bit, for a hot minute there. Okay, so the holidays can be stressful. When I talk about the holidays, I kind of think of like pre-Thanksgiving all the way to like post-New Year's. And I know I've spoken with Rachael and Jamie, and they've been kind enough to invite me back for a presentation right after New Year's. So I think about this like this holiday like window, but I guess especially right now, kind of that like Christmassy kind of time of year, where it's full of, you know, gift giving. You know, I'm just gonna kind of go with what I have here. So the reason this presentation was tricky, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of stumbling on my words a little bit right now. I want to make sure my thoughts come out the way, in a good way. Is because all this stuff that can lead to stress, or a lot of stuff that can lead to stress, is also good in a way, right? Like receiving gifts, right? That feels good. It feels good to give gifts. You know, those things are good. But when the activities that we're doing, I guess, exceeds like a healthy limit, and that's such a subjective idea, that's what becomes a problem. So anytime you bring mental health into a situation, the real focus is, what is my natural, organic baseline? And then when does that get exceeded? right? That's when we start to see like in depression, anxiety, stress. So for instance, I think a lot of us that work in offices, I shouldn't speak for myself, right? Where do I draw the line on how many people I buy a gift for? Right? So do I buy something for everyone in the office? You know, because one of the things we know about like Ho-Chunk culture is it's very like Ho-Chunk culture is very giving, right? We want to share with everyone. But that itself can be stressful. You know, do I make something for everyone? So there's so many like things that are good. We just have to kind of like, I guess, recognize our own limits. We want, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting our family to have a beautiful Christmas, but then are we maybe trying too hard to strive for that hallmark moment that we're, you know, causing ourselves undue strain? You know, right now I'm thinking about like Christmas lights on our houses. Right? I told my husband the other day, like, why do we have Christmas lights on our houses? And he's like, because we have little kids and we're busy. I'm like, touche. But if that was something that like I felt had to happen, then that would be a potential source of stress. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit, kind of just that taking time for introspection. I think that to me is the primary goal in the idea of reclaiming the holidays, is are we taking time for some introspection to think about what is really important to us right now, this time of year. And I think that reclaiming piece is a hot topic in a lot of areas, reclaiming our culture, reclaiming our, you know, food sovereignty, reclaiming our physical health. And to me, I think reclaiming or revisiting how we look at these significant times of year on like a social level is really important in the grander scheme when we talk about mental wellness and what culture we're trying to create and promote. And when I say culture, there's also subcultures. That'd be a fun presentation someday. But what's important to my family, you know, especially this time of year. So that being said, what are your, for those of us in the room, what would you guys find helpful based off of what I expressed so far for the next 40 minutes or so? If you're just here to learn, that's cool. Proactive self-care, okay. So I'm gonna be really like therapist with you for a second. We make proactive self-care. You say like how can we like prevent stress? Like if I'm taking like vitamin C before cold season, I'm trying to like be proactive and building up my natural immunities. Is that kind of what you're like thinking about before like self-care? Okay, cool. So we need vitamin C for our brains. Perfect. I can do that. Cool.
How about how we can overcome those expectations? The why do we have to have Christmas lights on the house, even though we don't have time, put the Christmas lights.
Okay. That's a really good one. If I can just pitch something at some point right now, I would love to talk about the biopsychosocial model.
I suppose that's where expectations come in, where I have 4 kids and the last 18 years of the oldest ones expects us to have lights, and then the youngest ones are like blah, you know, so, and then you kind of have that seasonal meh, and then so how do you adjust with that?
Love it. Okay, well, let's get into it and see if I can answer some of these questions. So you guys gave me some, each topic would be like its own personal, like little like segue. Renell
I just
knows
want
I
to
like talking.
lift up quick, Rachel, in the chat, there's also a request for setting holiday boundaries.
Oh, perfect.
Isn't that a good one?
You'll love slide 5.
Oh, and how to the expectation to get to all of the family homes, but there's not enough time.
Okay, so I'm seeing a big thing around expectations. Okay. Okay, so with that being said, like this slide's really not going to be getting to what we're trying to get at right now, but like kind of maybe a little bit. So we revisit some of these like old. Does anyone in the chat like not some of these stories have aged better than others? I'll give it that. But does anyone have no idea like what these pictures are referencing? Okay, so we have Charlie Brown, right? We just read the story with my kids. So this is a really cute story. You know, Charlie Brown Christmas tree one is he's trying to find like the meaning of Christmas, right, for him. And it was funny because there was this one, not funny, but I thought it was really interesting when I was reading it last night for my kids, is there's one point in the story where Lucy, the kids are put on a play, and she's like, make sure you come back with an aluminum, a big fancy aluminum Christmas tree, right? And it's okay. And so he goes to the Christmas tree lot, and that's all he sees is big, fancy, shiny, you know, aluminum, you know, Christmas trees. And he's like, but I don't want an aluminum Christmas tree. I want a nice little cute, real tree. And so he goes in the back lot and he finds this like little tiny tree, right? It looks not good. And then he brings it back and the kids get mad. Okay. I think a very helpful, proactive self-care tool is monitoring word choice and inviting curiosity. So what do I mean by that? Well, you know, before Charlie Brown even left to go to this big aluminum Christmas tree, nobody asked why. It just said, well, because they're pretty. That's the popular thing. But why is it the popular thing? Why do you think it's pretty? Why do you think? And so that clarity, like clarifying expectations, clarifying, just clarifying things. Which I think what we'll find out is a lot of times the expectations that we think people are putting on us, when we're put on us, isn't necessarily what it's not the root issue, right? It's not the root issue. Or like the middle picture is from It's a Wonderful Life. So, you know, it came down to like the Charlie Brown thing. They learned that this little tiny scraggly tree turned into this beautiful little Christmas tree when they just like helped each other out and were together. You know, there's one quote I have it on one of the slides, but I just really loved it for myself, was, you know, it's not about what's under the Christmas tree, it's about who's around the Christmas tree. And I think we forget about that sometimes. You know, the middle picture, It's a Wonderful Life. You know, the dad in the picture, it's money, right? He's worried about like providing it for his family. Like he wants them to have like a nice house, he wants them to have nice things, and he almost quite literally like, you know, he starts to put more value on what he can provide for his family than even his existence in the family. And the importance of, you know, and that's not what they wanted. They just wanted him. And then the last one is near and dear to my heart. So in Harry Potter, I think it's the first movie. The first like holiday Harry has, that's Ron, his best friend in the movie. And the sweater Ron's wearing is like homemade from his mom. And they open the presents and Ron's like, ugh, another one of these sweaters? Gross. And Harry's like, oh my God, your mom made me a sweater? Right? So expectations. So where are our expectations? So when we're saying, like, when we talk about like, how do we overcome these expectations, I think the best way we start that is by exploring why they exist anyways. And circling back to Charlie Brown, there's one thing, if you read this actual story, he complains throughout the story about the commercialization of the holidays. And that's a whole different conversation, but I think it's a good Like this time of year is kind of a good time to explore with curiosity how much we want to co-sign the commercialization of the things that are important to us. And I think that can be taken in a lot of different situations. You know, who is secondary gaining from our stress? You know, is it the Christmas tree lot that's making more money off of the metal Christmas trees, the fancy metal Christmas trees, than the real ones? Is it, you know, oh, they don't even have Toys R Us anymore. But like, you know, is it Toys R Us who's benefiting from telling our kids they need 27 presents under the tree? Like, where's the secondary gain coming from? Because there's usually like a root cause. So that's just why, and I'm sure there's a lot more like holiday movies, there's old stories, you know, that kind of focus on like what's really important. And I find it ironic that with these three stories, I liked it, but there are a lot of them you'll see where they'll be like, you know, the meaning of Christmas, or the meaning of the holidays, the meaning of solstice is about being with family. And yet there's like a really picturesque, perfect hallmarked background. And I'm like, not really selling me on this. But you know, it is a good opportunity to kind of explore those. Like, why do I want lights on my house? Like, why do I want to have, you know, for my kids, I've asked them that they want this is an ongoing discussion at our house, is my kids are little. They think it'd be really cool if we could have the inflatable Bluey and Bingo, like, family in our front yard. No, okay, we can do that. It's going to cost a couple $100. I don't know how much is to raise our electric bill. So if we do that, then we won't have money for like the presents. We won't have time to do this. And try like looking at that like cost benefit kind of a thing. And so I'll ask them, why do you want those in the front yard? I just want it. Okay, well, then we're just going to continue this conversation. I think a lot of families, if there's one thing I can give advice just from a counselor in general, like it's not about, when it comes to communication, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And I think that quality comes from asking those like deeper, like, well, why did you think that? What are you thinking of? So here's a list of just some basic things that can contribute to holiday stress. One of the things that somebody asked a question of, and I wish I would have thought of this. I didn't think of it. So the seasonal meh, we actually have a term for that. So it's called seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder is a really interesting mental health thing that happens, I mean, predominantly in the Northern Hemisphere, right? And so I try to explain to people, we get a lot of our vitamin D from the sun. And when we don't have as much access to the sun, we lose a lot of our body's natural, you know, vitamin D production, which can lead to like depressive symptoms. The other thing that's interesting is the whole like, oh, I'm just like tired. We're the only mammal right now that's not trying to hibernate. And so when you think about like that biopsychosocial model I was mentioning to Rachael earlier, we are combating our biology almost every day during the winter time. You know, the way our ancestors got through winter is crazy different than what we do today. You know, this is the time of year where historically, traditionally, would be, you know, we're not hunting as much, we're not fishing as much, there's really no harvest to bring in. We get to kind of just like relax, you know, spend time together. And instead, we fight our biology by convincing ourselves that we need to be even more productive, even busier, because the end of the year is almost here and all this stuff. And it's just this like, yeah, yes, 100%. We're now just in the chat room, 100%, 100%. So like we're fighting our biology. And then people will say like, well, no, it's because I'm depressed. And it's like, well, yes, the symptoms you're experiencing are in alignment with what we would necessarily associate with like depression, but we also have to take in the whole situation. So yes, this is the time our bodies are supposed to be like relaxing, conserving energy, historically speaking, this is what, it just, we're not doing what comes natural, if that makes sense. And I think like that disconnect can add to a lot of other stuff. Like for example, for anyone in here that has pets or small children, not that children are small pets, but my kids act like human puppies. Kids and animals are very sensitive to change, right? And so if you take them, if you break out of their normal routine, they tend to react. And like, oh, sorry, my kid's being whatever, they're not used to this. Well, the difference between our child or a pet versus like adults is, as adults, we've had the chance to learn how to mask our underlying issues better. Right? You see those like memes on Facebook where like, this is my face at work, but this is what this is like what I wish my face to look like. That kind of ties into those expectations, right? Like, we know what's expected of us, so we pretend. And then that in itself, like that disconnect can add to stress, because it takes more energy. So aside from like the seasonal affective disorder, which is 100% a thing, especially in Wisconsin, the Northern Hemisphere, there's the financial stress of the holidays, gift giving expectations, family dynamics. So I mentioned like, how do you get everywhere, all in all the places? Social isolation is a big one, especially with like our elders who don't get out, who aren't able to travel, or like, like COVID was awful. And some people are still kind of going through that because like they don't have a vehicle, or they moved somewhere and have a hard time getting back. I think I kind of touched on the disrupting routines a little bit. And then like the expectations of joy, like it's Christmas, you should be happy. Sorry, Renata, I didn't catch that. Why aren't you happy? It's Christmas time. It's a happy time of year. Well, we just listed 7 reasons why, like, you can't force joy. That's another thing too with the gift giving expectations is, and we talk about this, at my house a lot, where the kids are like, oh, if you just get me this new thing, I'll be so happy. No, if I get you this new thing, you're going to experience a dopamine rush. And at some point, this new thing is going to bring you less and less dopamine. And then you're going to want to jump onto your next dopamine rush. Like, we're chasing dopamine here. Now, we do want to, like, I'm not trying to, like, be the Grinch and, like, take away everyone's, like, excitement about gift giving. But being aware, like, just being aware of, like, and I think it's okay to even have that conversation with our kids. Is like, joy is a spontaneous thing that we can't totally control, and it comes from like dopamine, oxytocin. Like, weirdly enough, like you'll get as much joy from this new toy as you will from a hug from one of your favorite relatives, right? And the hug's free, and the hug, those memories last. We can definitely get new things, like that's fun. Like, it's fun to give gifts. It feels good. It feels good to receive gifts, especially if they're things that we can do as a family. Someone was mentioning like expectations too. I think it's okay to also share with our kids and our families that times change. And I don't know about anyone else, but like, it was a little bit easier to buy everyone presents in like 2019 than in 2025 or 2016 or 2015 or pretty much any time before COVID. Like, financially, things are more stressful. And so we can't expect the same results with different ingredients. If that makes sense, like, we're dealing with different ingredients. And so things are going to come out a little bit different, as far as like the needing to be at everyone's houses. Actually, we're going to keep going because I have a sign on this. Shoot. Stop pushing different buttons, Rachel. Just stick with the right ones. Yeah, I did it again. I ain't even grown up. Can I phone a friend for a grown up? All right. No. Here we go. Here's the little quote I had. I think so. The whole idea of like wanting to be everywhere, you know, struggling, finding the time to be in all the places. I think this is also where we kind of come back to like, okay, let's talk about this. Because in the past, right, I hear stories from like, you know, my aunts and my uncles, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day we all would get to grandma's house and that's where we did whatever. Or we'd all go see, we'd all congregate at like this relative's house. But we don't really do that anymore because we try, but we've just have organically spread out because it's a different time. And then the problem with that, just like I said, it's important, I think, for us to explore clarifying word choice, clarifying what somebody means by something. But I think also like educating on, okay, nobody get mad at me. I don't know how to explain this. Consequences, right? So like my husband's youngest brother moved to Arizona, right? He had to for work. Well, he's sad that he can't be home for Christmas. And we're like, it's okay. Like, we miss you. We'll video call you, but like none of us can, he can't afford a plane ticket. We can't afford a plane ticket. Like, so the consequence of, he didn't do anything wrong. He did a good thing by moving to Arizona, but like the consequence of moving to Arizona is you're just organically not going to be able to be with us all the time. Or it's going to take more planning to make that happen. Or, my brother's active duty Army. So we've talked about like, hey, if we can't like meet in the middle someplace, like we might not see each other for Christmas. And so we've had to like navigate that. And then when we can't do all the things, and it does feel it doesn't feel good, but it's also kind of an organic consequence of how like things are changing. So here's some ideas I'm hoping will help with something like the self-care too. So number one, identifying our priorities and being as specific as we can. So if I say, well, my priority is to spend time with my family, and as challenging as it might be, like, okay, well, define family, because some of us have huge families. And if you're one of those individuals who can make that happen, awesome. Love that for you. If you can't, that's also okay. Like, it's also okay. We only do the best with what we have. So really clarifying, like, what do you mean by, like, when you say your priority, like, what do you mean by it? Or I hear this all the time, I just really want my kids to have a nice Christmas. Okay, define nice. Like, what do you mean by nice? Because if I gave my 4-year-old everything she wanted, like, we were laughing because she went to the dentist yesterday. This isn't funny. She has a cavity. Cool. I know why she has a cavity. Like, because I'm raising a hummingbird that looks like a human. Right? And like, I can brush her teeth out. This girl, like, she is like the bloodhound of sugar. Like, if there's like an M&M hiding in your house, like, she'll find it. Okay, well, consequences, cavities. So define nice. And if we said, well, nice Christmas is just, I don't know, just being together, having a few things on the Christmas tree, perfect. Like, but clarify that. Identifying limits. It's okay to limit yourself and others around you. This includes gift giving, meal plan activities. One of the things that, again, it's 2025. Like, I don't know anyone who's like thriving financially. They're not in my immediate circle. If you are, wonderful. Email me later and tell me how you're doing it. But we've decided that we're trying to shift from buying the kids gifts. This is between like aunts and uncles and stuff. Tell them, don't go crazy. Like, maybe like $40 limit per kid for aunts and uncles, but like we really want to focus on having experiences, not stuff, because the stuff is going to end up at Goodwill at some point. So let's try to have experiences. And so that's led to a whole different kind of conversation. Well, do we want to maybe like meet up in Dells and go to like a water park? So the money that we would have spent on like gifts, we can then put that towards like this experience so that they can have those memories. My sister-in-law, like bless her, she's got the best ideas. We had one year where we were kind of trying to figure out what to do for like Christmas dinner, right? And she's like, why don't we just do tacos? Everyone loves tacos. Why are we trying to stress out about a turkey and a ham? And who doesn't want tacos? It was the best Christmas meal ever. It was so simple. Plan ahead. Reducing our YOLO moments. So a big thing with stress. All right, I'm gonna go like mental health on you for a hot second. And this would be another topic we can discuss if we want to. I think there is a distinction between anxiety and worries. So to me, a worry is something that comes with lived experiences, and anxiety comes with the anticipation of an experience. So for instance, Rachael, still drive a Prius, and the danger of Priuses in the wintertime is we get stuck sometimes because we're very low to the ground and the snow is very high. Right, so I'm worried about my car getting stuck if I have to make a tight turn. I'm worried because it's happened. I am anxious sometimes that maybe aliens are gonna take over the earth and this whole like stressing for taxes is gonna be silly. Okay, so like there's a difference between like anxiety and like worries. So here's what I'll tell like families, because well, I'm really like worried that like my family's gonna get mad at me. Okay, but have you set this boundary before? And it led to a negative consequence. Well, I mean, no, like they told me they were mad at me. They always said they had a good time. Okay, then they had a good time. But what if they didn't? Okay, so your family's full of liars? Don't talk about my family like that. Okay, so then like, what are we anxious about? So again, that like word choice is huge. And so when I say like try to reduce YOLO moments, it's that like the sudden surprises that causes like that adrenaline, that anxiety, that stress, that we can kind of reduce if we are able to have a little bit of an idea of what the plan is. A big one is practicing gratitude. I heard this saying, and I've been trying to turn it into a mantra, and some days I'm really good at it, and some days I'm not. I think a lot of us in 2025 can agree that we are too blessed to be stressed. Like, you know, a warm house, I have a relatively healthy family. We're all getting over the sniffles. We're healthy. You know, I have an awesome job. I get to like have moments like this. Like I have a lot of blessings. Like I am a very blessed individual. And so when someone told me this, comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. Comparison is a thief of joy. So if I'm stressed about something, am I comparing myself to somebody else or something else? And is that fair? Is it an accurate and fair comparison? Is it worth the cost of my potential joy in that moment? Or even just my sense of like contentment, satisfaction. Stress is normal, but like being stressed out this time of year, I think doesn't need to be normal. I think we tend to normalize it just like we tend to commercialize our holidays. Right? Like if you're with your coworkers and somebody walks in and they're like, you know, how's it going? I mean, this would be any time of year, right? Unfortunately, these days, if you have someone walk in and they're, you know, how's your day going? Oh, my day's awesome. Every day's awesome. Life's wonderful. I woke up this morning. It's a beautiful day. I mean, be like, oh, yeah, I'm happy for you. But then, like, 2 minutes later, be like, what's up with them? Like, maybe they should be, like, drug tested. Like, are you sure they're okay? Like, they can't possibly be okay. Do they forget where they are right now? Why do we do that? Just be happy. Maybe take a page out of the book. So we normalize the stress this time of year. And I think that can be something that's worth challenging a little bit too. Like why? Like we don't, like why? Here's a big one: maintain your healthy habits. So if you, and I do my best not to speak on eyebrows down issues as much as I can, because I am not a nurse. I focus on eyebrows up, but as far as eyebrows down go, the rest of our whole health that affects our mental health, if you are on a current eating pattern, so say you are trying to go gluten-free because you feel better when you don't eat gluten, don't just start eating gluten over Christmas because your Chewy brought over this delicious cake and like you don't like the bird. Like it's okay. Like your GI tract deserves happiness too. Like you don't have to just like give in and eat the cake with all the gluten if you are finding out that your body doesn't tolerate gluten well. If you find out that like I do really well when I go to the gym, keep going to the gym. Like don't just, well, I have to go shopping, so then I have to choose between like am I going to go shopping or go to the gym? Well, if you need to choose the shopping over the gym, where can we bring in some fitness, even if it's just, walking up the stairs instead of using an elevator or something. Try to continue with your healthy habits as best you can, because that reduces the stress that comes with the changing of the routines. And also some of like the literal physical stuff, like we tend to eat different during the holidays and 100% suffer for it. We tend to, drink less water because we're indulging in like, I don't know, punch and stuff. I actually like the almond milk eggnog. That's really good, but still not better than water. And what you even do is like, and then I think sometimes too, we tend to feel selfish by wanting to maintain our boundaries. Like I'm being bad by wanting to maintain my boundaries that work for myself. And I think that's weird. I mean, it's normal. It's normal that like we've made it normal, but I don't think that's okay. And I'm going to show you my little examples that I brought with you. Okay. So try a little of this. I might need to stand up a little more. Okay, I'm going to break this. So I'm sure everyone's seen like this like water example. So pretend like this is you. This is your water. We know water's sacred. Water can represent our energy, like our spirit, like what we have to do. Okay. So if everyone's asked you to do something, right? This is your water. That's all you get for the day. Okay. Every day it recharges, hopefully. This is your water. And everyone's asking things like little, hey, can you swing by the can you swing before you on your way to work, can you swing by and grab some stuff for the office party we have? Yeah, okay. Okay, now let's start with a little water. Hey, can you help out with this? And depending on what it is, sometimes it costs more. Like, what are some examples of things that like, okay, I'll be honest with you, this kind of stuff I love. Like this kind of stuff costs me a little bit of water. But if they're like, hey Rachel, can you like do this documentation stuff? Now I'm at like here. Like that costs a lot of water for me. It's a lot of energy. It's hard. Or maybe it's the strategizing, how am I supposed to be in 3 places at one time and feeling guilty? Right? That costs me a lot of water. What costs you guys a lot of water? Right there, I just have it end this cup. That's cool. All right. Well, we'll keep going. So all the different tasks we're doing that takes energy, right? It's going to cost energy. So before you know it, it's the end of the day, and you're like here. Okay. Maintain our healthy habits. Oh yeah, shopping. Yeah, especially these days. Well, some people still like shopping in general. Thank you, Renelle. So if this is your end of the day, you're like, oh, I have barely anything to do. Maintain the healthy habits and maintain our routines is a really good way to like, if not refill our cup, make sure we're maintaining our cup or maintain most of our cup. So if I had to give like a mental health like vitamin C suggestion, like I said earlier. We talk about this all the time. Finding a system that works for you and sticking to it as best as you can is really healthy. And again, some people, especially, so I'm the super Hino in my family, I'm the oldest granddaughter and oldest kid. As a super Hino, I feel, and I'm a counselor, right? But I still feel guilty sometimes prioritizing my needs over other people's needs. Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. And so when I feel guilty about prioritizing my needs, I remind myself, okay, what would I talk to myself when I talk to the younger people in my life, the way I talk to myself, right? So like, if I had, one of my kids and maybe but my priority is like, okay, I need some, me time tonight. I want to get back into like yoga, right? I'm an off and on yoga junkie. I keep trying to stay with it, but I also have ADHD, so sometimes my squirrels make it harder for me to stick with my habits. I'll feel guilty. Like, okay, I have to choose between doing my yoga or spending time with my kids. And so I'll say, okay, nope, I'm still doing my yoga, but I'm going to invite my kids to do it with me. And most of the time they don't want to. Once in a while they do. And if nothing else, I also gave them, it was almost like a little gift. I got to give them my time and I got to teach them a new skill. So, like I said, would you tell the young people in your lives, would you talk to them in the same way you talk to yourself in your head? And for a lot of us, the answer is, no. So if we wouldn't, then let's revisit that. Okay, so this next slide is going to be okay, for the record, I want to make a complaint about WebEx. The enter key should not mute you. So if anyone has connections to the person who invented WebEx, that's my complaint for the day. There's a lot of different ideas online. These are just 3 of them. If you're able to print this off, awesome. If you want me to send it to you in a more blown up image, I'm more than happy to. I realize that we're getting close on time. There's a ton of ideas. I saw a lot of Pinterest is great for homemade gifts in a hurry. I think a big thing I try to do, and sometimes part of the spending time with family involves, I video chat with my family while I'm doing errands a lot, because otherwise I wouldn't see them, right? Because it's someone said, time is precious and it goes by so fast, right? It's the one resource we don't get back, really. So I'll turn to a video chat thing, or I can't get together with my nephews, so the kids don't get to have in-person cousin time all the time. Well, you know what? We make cookies with them on video chat, and so we can kind of finding ways to work with kind of what we have, I guess, being creative. That's what works for my family, might not work for your family. Totally get that. I think the biggest thing if I could give a couple takeaway points, big one is be curious in clarifying what you're thinking, what you're saying, and what you're hearing, right? So if you're hearing something that you're like, wait, how is that going to work? Ask, hey, how is that going to work? Or, someone mentioned having to drive to South Dakota to get their kids, right? Is there any way we can meet halfway in the middle? And if the other person's like, no, absolutely not. Okay, well then okay, but I'm putting this on the table then as a conversation in the future, because This takes a lot of water for me. It takes a lot of energy for me. Like, can we figure something, like being curious? And I think a lot of us get to the point where we're like, yes, you know, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. I'll just do it. But that isn't always healthy or sustainable long term. Just really embracing curiosity. If our kids are like, oh, if I don't get this new iPhone 2730.2, I'll die. What's so special with this iPhone 3200.5? I'm just curious, right? Have those conversations. And maybe they'll sell you on it and you're like, okay, after talking to you, like, I get it. Like, you do need this iPhone. Or maybe having this dialogue with them will help them see, like, okay, maybe I don't need this like brand new iPhone. I think we could, like, curiosity, like the whys and the whats of what we're doing, especially around the holidays. So we can make sure that we are promoting and continuing with a healthy tradition for our families going forward. So I know that leaves us with 10 minutes. Sorry, guys. Any comments, questions, suggestions? Did I answer everyone's questions to the most part? Or for the most part? I think the one I probably didn't was how to overcome expectations. And that needs its own, like, we can do a whole mini series on that. I think that is a social construct that takes a little bit of time. And I think the way we can overcome other people's expectations, especially if those expectations aren't realistic, is through conversation. That curiosity piece, like, you know, what makes you think that? Or, you know, opening, like, having more conversations with family and friends to, I guess, help just bring more clarity to the topic. I think a lot of us are really good at faking a sense of control. So people are like, well, you seem like you got it under control. And like, we're like internally like losing it. Being more open with like, well, actually, I don't. Like, this is really stressful for me. Really, I had no idea. Yeah, well, I didn't want you guys to worry, but like, yeah, it's really stressful for me. Oh, shoot. Okay, well, yeah, no, I don't want you to do that. That's not that big of a deal. Right? So, but we wouldn't know that it's not that big of a deal to that person unless we had that dialogue. Is adjusting to expectations of the person. Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like, yeah, I think having a good holiday right now, like, this is our new, like, getting ready for prom. Like, adults, this is like prom season for adults, right? Where, like, when we were in high school, what dress are you wearing? Where are you getting your nails done? Where are you getting your hair done? Or I don't know what guy. I was never a boy in high school, so I don't know if you guys do. But like, there's a lot of social pressure where now it's like, so what are you buying for your kids? Oh, I'm buying them this, and we got this, and we're doing this. And it's like, oh, well, I'm a terrible mom. I didn't take my kids on 12 sleigh rides yet. You know, it's like, okay, why? Like, if I ask my kids, they tell me they're thriving. Like, why did I put that social pressure on myself? I think so. A lot of it's just like having that open dialogue and kind of like, okay, like, why does this matter to me? Like, a really dumb one, when I first started working, when I left Ho-Chun for like a hot minute to work someplace else. And it was like more of a mainstream, like, general pop place. And when I looked at all the people in the office, right, all the girls in the office, they all have their nails done. And I don't like having my nails done, like, but I felt pressure to do it. And I did do it for like 4 months. I'm like, this is really expensive, and I don't personally enjoy this. I don't really like this. Why am I doing this? I'm not in high school anymore. We do a lot of that during the holidays. I can totally to see all of Jamie's comments. I like that. Yeah, totally. Yes. So, like, I think, yes, kind of checking on like what's Like, what is the reason for the season? As cliche as that sounds. You know, at our house, we like to, again, with my ADHD, I look to my hands busy. So like knitting, crocheting, like, oh, Renell, I got one of those cool little like crochet hoops where like you just make the yarn go in a circle. I was spitting out hats left and right, and we would just donate them to different places that had like the donation trees. I would just make it
The
rain.
one that you crank it just goes around and
No.
around and around.
I'm not that fancy. Like or intelligent. I'm not smart enough for that one. It was you had to like manually move it and then like pull the yarn over the knobs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Cheating. Yep.
It was so satisfying. It was so satisfying. So I enjoyed it. And then like my stepdaughter, I just call my kids, but she was like two at the time last time we did this. And she was like, what are you doing with all these hats? And I'm like, we're gonna give them to people who don't have hats. And she's like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'd let her like hang them on the trees and it was fun. That's a really good idea, Jamie. Like I think like I know we're almost out of time. Maybe something that me, you, and Renell can talk about, or anyone else on the chat can talk about at some point. I have, weirdly enough, like several people that like come to me and they'll be like, hey, I have like a bunch of blah. Like, can anyone use them? And I'm trying my best to find families that need things. But if we had like a list of like, hey, like this place can use this, or like we know we have a lot of community members in this area that are like in need of things. Like that would be really cool.
Yeah, I just grew up like that because growing up in Madison, they always used to put jackets around the trees around the Capitol in the wintertime for homeless people.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's what they used to do growing up. So I grew up doing that is we would take old gently used jackets and you zip them around the trees around the Capitol, and those were free jackets for homeless people to pick up and just use without having to ask for that handout.
That's really cool. That's okay. So Jamie can attest for me, like, okay, I don't live in Madison, but I lived in 20 minutes from, I think I've been to the Capitol like 3 times since I've lived in Dane County. It's almost going on like year 3. So that's really cool. Okay. And they do it for like, do they do it for kids too? Because I have a couple of kid jackets I need to get rid of.
Well, yeah, when I was younger and I used to live there, they would do all different sizes, and you just you'd zip them around the trees, and homeless people could take them.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you. I know I've seen people that also put these like little like gift bags together. And it's all like Dollar Tree stuff. But they'll have like a pair of socks, like a granola bar. Like, it'd be like this little like, I mean, each one probably costs like $6, right? And then have these like little gift bags, and then they would just like leave them for the same thing, right? Some people are, you know, it's hard. It's hard to ask for help, and so like should have it available for whatever.
Well, we are at the end of our time. Rachel, is it okay if actually I'm just going to email everyone so they have your contact information, so ignore
Yeah,
me.
of course.
But
Yep.
Pinagigi, thank you. I feel like everyone could sit here and talk for quite a while longer about holiday stress. But thank you everyone for joining us today. This session is recorded and will be available on the Department of Health website and on our Facebook page. We look forward to seeing everyone at our next session, which will be Wednesday, December 10th. And we'll have Kathleen Clemens with us. She's one of our exercise physiologists. And she's going to show us how we have snow excuses and show us how we can stay active in winter. You can use the same link as today to join all future sessions. And if you'd like to add the recurring WebEx link to your calendar, please email Jamie and I. I did put our emails in the chat, and we will forward you the invite. We'd also love to hear from you. Any feedback about this session or future sessions, I put the link to the survey in the chat as well. You can also just reach out to Jamie and I with any feedback. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and happy lower stress holiday season.